Hi everyone, thanks for dialing in to the webinar. We still have a few participants trying to dial in, so let's just give them a chance to tune in, and we'll start in a few seconds. Thanks. So thanks for waiting. So good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening to everyone dialing in from around the world. Welcome. First of all, it's nice to see that we have over 615 registrations to this webinar. So great interest on the topic. So that's great. My name is Ling. I'm the Director of Communications and Marketing at I4E. And welcome to the first, well, not the first, but welcome to the Innovation for Electrification Showcase webinar. It's organized by I4E. And we created this showcase series to bring our members one step closer to potential collaborators by giving them a platform to directly showcase their products and solutions. We started the series last year, and I'm happy to kick off the second edition in 2023. This time, we'll be looking at the topic of energy storage and green hydrogen. The topic is actually part of a wider campaign that we launched this September. So yesterday, we launched a newsletter on the same theme. So be sure to check some of the contributions to that newsletter as well. And we chose the topic of energy storage solutions because we believe it plays a transformative role by facilitating the deployment of DRE into the fabric of energy systems. We're also seeing green hydrogen coming into the picture as well, and we also think it has an exciting role to play as well. And that's why we're putting together this webinar, and you will be hearing from some of the I4E members who have integrated energy storage solutions as part of the systems. So please note as well that the session will be recorded. The recording and the presentations will be made available on the I4E website. So here's the agenda for today. So there's myself doing the opening remarks. The webinar will be facilitated by our president, Alexis Rebender. And the set the scene will be done by Mareka from GIZ Private Sector Corporation. And you'll be hearing 5 pitches from I4E members: Sandra from H2 Energy, Stefan from Asantis, Nitin from Customized Energy Solutions, Tony from Wenda, Javier from Novento, and there will also be an audience Q&A. So if you do have questions that you want certain panelists to address, feel free to drop that in, and we'll try our best to get to those questions, and we'll finish off with closing remarks from Alexis. Next slide, please. So for those of you who don't know I4E, we are the #1 global association for the decentralized renewable energy industry. We represent over 200 members from 55 countries and in 3 continents. If you want to learn more about who our members are, feel free to visit the I4E matchmaking platform on the I4E website. Next slide, please. So yeah, so this is a map of I4E members' regional focus and expertise. A large part of our members work in Africa, but also we have quite a number working in Asia and Latin America. Our members work on all types of technologies, whether that's bioenergy, whether that's small hydro, wind, PV. And in this particular one, we'll be looking at energy storage. And our members also cover different system types, so whether that's mini grids or standalone. Next slide. And yeah, these are some of the services that we offer. We have 4 service lines. So the first one being business and market development, the second capacity building, The third one, policy and advocacy, and the final one, communication and marketing. So if any of you tuning in, if you're interested in joining the I4E membership, feel free to drop us a line. Next slide. All right, and with that, I hand the floor over to Alexis, our president at the Alliance for Rural Electrification, and he will be facilitating the webinar. Over to you, Alexis.
Thank you, Ling. Welcome to everybody. Welcome to this webinar organized by I4E, Alliance for Electrification. I'm very happy to be here to represent the board and to act as the president of the association. It is one of the many activities led by I4E, and we are very happy to have you on board for this webinar. Just to remind what Ling already said, but if you have any question, please use the chat to ask them, and we will have a session, a dedicated session at the end of the presentations, and we'll have the will to ask them to our presenters. We will start directly for this series by a first presentation by our guest speaker, Ms. Marika Luetke, sorry for the last name, from GIZ. Just a kind of reminder for our speakers, 10 minutes per pitch, per presentation, and I will allow myself to remind you the timing. Okay, so floor is yours, Marika.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for having me. Welcome from my side as well, from GIZ offices in Amman in Jordan. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Mareike Lütke. I'm a project manager focusing on energy projects within GIZ's program on private sector cooperation. Maybe you can go to my slides already. Thank you. Next one, please. Can you please go to the second one? Yes, thank you very much. Because I want to give you a brief overview for those of you who don't know who we are at GIZ. The German Agency for International Development is a development agency. We are a technical service provider in the field of international cooperation for sustainable development in our partner countries in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. And we want to shape a future worth living around the world. We, and not me personally, but GIZ has over 50 years of experience in a wide variety of areas, and also in the energy sector. That's why I'm here today. We work mainly with our partner governments, but also with businesses, civil society, actually all relevant stakeholders when it comes to sustainable development. Please to the next slide. And we are commissioned by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. Specifically in my project, with which I'm here, we want to cooperate with the private sector. That's why we're the private sector cooperation program to reach the sustainable development goals. Please to the next slide. Thank you. What I want to give you a quick insight in what we do in our program. We want to bundle public and private resources and competencies to jointly execute innovative projects, and in this case, energy projects, mainly in Africa, but also beyond. Why we do that, we want to foster technological progress and resilience, and through this improve living conditions across the continent. Next slide, please. And we do that in three main focus areas. The first one is just transition, which means a socially and climate-friendly development in our partner countries. And this reaches from the areas of energy to mobility, but also agriculture, which brings me to the second topic, which is poverty and hunger. We want to promote through technologies an increase in productivity, local added value in the agricultural sector as well. This just for you as FYI. And throughout our programs, we want to improve gender equality. We want to reduce structural inequalities and empower women economically. And we want to give a business case basically for improving conditions for women and gender diversity. Next one, please. This now leads to why we do this, why we want to cooperate with you, the private sector, and we think there are benefits on both sides. There are opportunities for businesses cooperating with us in the development cooperation in the public sector. This ranges from the support during project development in Africa. We have access to local expertise and networks. We have offices in 90 countries and already, as I mentioned before, work in some of them for 50 years. And we can help you discover sustainable business sectors, do market researches through our expertise and studies we commission. On the other hand, we want to use synergies with the private sector. We want to leverage the expertise, the innovation, the technology, because we think only jointly we can tackle the problems we have nowadays, especially when it comes to rural electrification. I don't think that the public sector can do this as a standalone project, not at all, actually. And we want to promote private investments in Africa in a very young and a very driven continent, and we see a lot of potential there and also a lot of need when it comes to electrification. And we want to enable the technology and knowledge transfer, in our case, from Europe to our partner countries and the other way around. Next slide, please. So here's one of our 3 examples that I brought today, and this is actually why I'm here speaking to you today. We have this a very new partnership with the Alliance for Rural Electrification, what we are very happy about. We want to support the Alliance as the #1 alliance on this topic in its mission to connect and empower rural electrification technology providers. And that's why we support such webinars as today and masterclasses, but also memberships for 20 promising African European companies to really foster knowledge exchange between private stakeholders, but also between public and private, and of course also want to improve conversation with us where we can go a step further in the sustainable development. Next slide, please. I brought a second example, which is a learning energy efficiency network that we built in Botswana, in Namibia, in the Kavango-Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area in the border region. And there we support 12 companies, 12 local lodges in the tourism sector who have the challenge that they have no access to grid, low electrification rates. They mostly do use diesel generators, have really wear maintenance structures, and they are just in general very remote. And there we support this network that was built with audits, energy audits, and recommendations for energy savings, but also storage systems they can use. And through this, they can benefit through a more reliable energy access. In the next stage right now, we want to bring in private technology providers to the needs of the lodges once the audits are done and see how they can invest in a better technology here. Next slide, please. And this will be my last example. Last but not least, it's a very important alliance we have in GIZ. It's the Green Hydrogen Business Alliance. Speaking of green hydrogen today, it's an alliance serving as a cross point between private sector and the development ministry, the German development ministry, and it's based on 4 pillars, basically. It's one, the network, which is very important. It connects more than 150 companies and other stakeholders around the world. It connects them along the entire value chain and promotes continuous dialogue and exchange, for example, through network and dialogue events. The second one is the market, H2 market, where we support for local market development. We provide knowledge and it serves as a knowledge platform. We commission studies here and tools, for example, the green ammonia business cost models and other tools. And you can find these, it's written on the right side on the website of the Alliance. There you can find our studies. We have the H2 projects pillar where we support industrial projects, as we recently did in Morocco with a Power-to-X reference plant and also a smaller plant in Algeria. We also have a H2 project support unit in Namibia where we want to connect demand and supply side more regarding to local needs. You can see all our focus countries of the alliance on the top right corner on the world map. We also work closely with Brazil, South Africa, and Northern Africa. The last pillar is the H2 finance. There we created tailor-made financing solutions which are essential for strengthening the competitiveness of the partner countries in the global market ramp up. And this we did through company talks within our network, and we checked what are the needs of the companies to design these finance mechanisms. Please beg my pardon. This is the Green Hydrogen Business Alliance is part of a team of my colleagues, not me personally. So if you have any questions regarding this alliance, please feel free to visit their website. There's a lot of information and you can also contact them directly. And now coming to my last slide, please, the next one, just giving you an overview of our contact possibilities. You can contact us via email, via LinkedIn, and we have recently published a call for innovation on leverist.de, a matchmaking platform. In general, GIZ, of course, has a wider range of activities in the energy sector. This is just a little insight in our private sector cooperation efforts, but you can always have a look at giz.de to see what we do in all our partner countries. And with this, I would hand over back to ARE. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks a lot, Marika. Thanks a lot for this presentation. It was very, very interesting. GIZ is a main actor in the sector, very important for the energy access sector, with crucial initiatives. And the one about green hydrogen is a new and very interesting one for a challenge we all have to tackle in the next years. Now I will handle the mic, let's say, to Ms. Sandra Liz Hon, Director at H2 Energy, which will present to us their own solutions. So Ms. Sandra, if you can just switch on your camera and take over.
Hello, I seems to be having problem with my camera now. It was working fine earlier, but
at least we can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Let me just try it up again. Going to want it to work. It start up on two. Just try it again. Okay, I think I will have to go without my camera because I don't want to delay further. Fellow colleagues,
let's move forward without the camera. Okay, so the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Alexi. Fellow colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everyone. I am Sandra Horn of H2 Energy. H2 Energy is an integrated green solution provider. We are actively and passionately promoting green hydrogen as the sustainable option for decarbonization. Next slide. This is the summary of who we are. The next slide. At H2 Energy, we are committed in addressing the energy trilemma, that is the energy security, equitable access to energy, and achieving environmental sustainability. And this can be seen through the demonstration of our pilot project at Malaysia's first rural clinic to be powered by green hydrogen energy storage solution. Next slide. The project was officially launched last year, and for the last 24 months, the data has validated that this innovative green hydrogen solution is resilient and reliable to address the energy trilemma that we have that I've mentioned earlier. Clearly, green hydrogen energy storage is a catalyst that we can scale and pace through strategic alliances, and jointly we can integrate this into end outcomes. In the next slide, please. Experience. Next slide, please. Yes, here we can jointly integrate it into end outcomes, experience, and shaping a sustainable future. Next slide. Okay, we move on to the next one. I have covered this. I would like to share with you our innovative offering. H2 Energy is a highly scalable system. We are harnessing on Mother Nature, that is the solar and water. And the solar would actually does its role by electrifying the rural clinics in the day, and during intermittence and night use, that's where the fuel cell will step in to draw the hydrogen that has been broken down by the electrolyzer during the day, and this would continue to ensure 24/7 power supply to the facilities like the rural clinics. Next slides. The system, as you can see here, are very modular, compact, and transportable. It's very critical, especially for rural sites where there are challenging terrain. And furthermore, it is also very scalable and customizable when the clients need to upgrade its capacity. You can see that in this electrical cabinet, we can actually just increase the stack to meet the client's, the user requirement. It has a very small footprint, so it doesn't require a large space for you to build out a plant. This is very suitable for decentralized or standalone solution for off-grid and rural facilities. It is user-friendly, very cost competitive, and also quick and easy in terms of installation, and low maintenance, and because it has very few moving parts, zero emission, so that would ensure a longer lifespan for the system. Next slide. So this is an overview of how a powerhouse is in the location. You can see that it is fitted with also satellite water tank, and this water tank is actually to collect rainwater. So basically we are really just harvesting what is around us to power our innovative H2E. And the satellite is where it aided our energy management system, where it can be remotely controlled. As we all appreciate the challenges of traveling to the site, so operation maintenance will be at ease now when we can basically undertake this through remote control through our energy management system, which is actually a cloud system. This is something that we work closely with the local community, the stakeholders like the universities, colleges, vocational school, to build capacity, knowledge building for the ecosystem to support this system that we are providing to the rural clinics, and to be scaled further to the villages, the schools, and the telco towers. Now, that sums up my presentation today. I would like to move on to the next slides to end my presentation. We can be reached at this contact point. However, I look forward to engage with you all further at the end of this Q&A session. Thank you very much, and I hand back to Alexis.
Thanks a lot, Miss Ditson. despite your camera was off, the presentation was great. Very interesting project. Maybe first one in the world project for an hospital with hydrogen. I'm sure we'll have a lot of questions about it later on. Next one is we are happy to welcome Mr. Stefan Schritter from Ascentis to present us some insights from Ascentis. Stefan.
Thanks, Alexis. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you perfectly.
All right, my voice is a little bit sore, but I hope it will work out through the session. Thanks for having me, and yeah, great presentation before on the hydrogen project. Very excited about that. We have not been that active in the green hydrogen area so far. We're more depending or looking into the existing and long term in the market areas of energy storage, lithium ion and lead acids especially. And that's what I want to present to you today, what we at Ascentis Systems are doing. We see ourselves as a 360-degree service provider, and that is what I'm going to show you in the next slides. Thank you. We're a German-based company, founded in 2009, and we're focusing on solar system integrations and EPC services. So that means specialized on designing and delivering solar systems worldwide. We have a very strong focus on Africa, but we also do projects in Latin America or Asia. And we work with local partners who are actually then our hands and ears and mouth and eyes on the site and actually know their local conditions best. They will support us or are supporting with like installations as well as then lead generations and also O&M activities. And we are more in the background supporting with engineerings or then supplies from the supplier, so high quality products which we are offering and then supplying worldwide. Our projects which we've implemented are usually in cooperations with then developers or operators, financiers, so we kind of like put the puzzle together, which is there, and we kind of like include engineering, logistics, installation, project management, training, financing, whatever you need can be put together so that we can have a quick and cost-effective implementation. So far, we have delivered 7,600 systems worldwide, so in 55 countries. It's getting more and more. I don't think that the numbers are still correct, but we have to update them once in a while. Turnover last year was 11.5 million. But these numbers are also a point where we actually see ourselves more as social entrepreneurs. So it's not all about money. It's not all about having a maximum on the turnover. It's more having supporting a revolution, a renewable energy revolution, and providing secure energy for everyone and having even those in need supplied with electricity. Next slide, please. So if it comes to our services, we actually take our partners like from the start to the end. We start with the planning, we do consulting assessments on site. We then go over to customized designs on the energy solution needed. Depending on the needs of the customer, we provide plug-and-play system or turnkey solutions, as well as single components, depending on the requirements. We do installations, maintenance support, do trainings, and the commissioning support or whatever is required in that regard. We have an in-house logistics team, which is especially necessary if we look at the different countries we're going into and the different challenges which we're facing going into the shippings from abroad, but then also in country, and that is where we have a strong focus in. Next slide, please. So here you can see the full scope of our work. So we see ourselves as a one-stop shop where you can get like all services required from the start planning development phase, then going into the implementation phase, trainings, the installation, the implementation, commissionings, all of that. And then also in the O&M phase, we kind of support with our local partners We have remote monitoring, which we can offer, trainings, which we can offer, even recycling. So battery recycling is a service which we can take up at the end of the life of the batteries. And all of that kind of comes to this bunch of 360 degree services, which we have put into this wheel on the right bottom. And that is the main activities. We also have additional ones. So at the moment, we're very much active in R&D projects, looking, for example, into new battery technologies, which hopefully will come on the market soon. But for example, also productive use of energy applications. So products which are then using the energy, the solar energy, which we're putting up in the first place, intelligently. So mainly using solar energy, for example, for cold storages, for e-mobility, water purification, all kinds of applications which we can think of to actually develop the solar products or the solar energy products further to the markets. Next slide, please. As one of the actions which we've taken in the last years is to develop a business-to-business online shop. So those partners and those solar companies who actually have engineering capacities in-house and actually are only looking for products from high-quality suppliers, they can actually access our online shop and can have direct access to to our good pricing conditions which we have from our suppliers. That means the engineering part is taken outside. We still offer the logistics, we still offer the products themselves at a very competitive pricing. The process is very transparent and it's a very easy to handle online shop. So everyone who's interested should maybe give it a try on our Ascentis Components online shop. I think the next slides are now going more into some references. So here are just some references on the project which we've done worldwide. Many of them are Africa, but as you can see here, one of our first ones actually back in 2010 was a system in Bangladesh, 100 kilowatt peak. I think we can go through these ones pretty quickly. Maybe the next slide. So here, a system for a clinic in Burkina Faso. And the next one, you will see different varieties where these are heading to. So a bank in Ivory Coast, the applications are very diverse on what is used and what is needed from the different application for the different customers and the applications. And as you can see, it's going back for years where we're doing this. Maybe we can go to the next slide. Telecom installation. So that was a big program which we had a few years back where we did antenna installations or power supplies for antenna systems in Burkina Faso. And one of the main points here, for example, was the training, as you can see here in the picture as well, the battery training, which is happening at that point, to actually have the operators up to speed and being able to operate the systems themselves. Next slide, please. This is the system in Mozambique, 2017. And as you can see, the logistics here was pretty difficult with like the sailing boat heading out with all the equipment. So these challenges are something which we're not scared of or where we're not fighting back. It is something which we actually like to do and see how we can solve the problem together as a team. Next slide, please. This is a CNI project in Mali, Bamako, where a sewage treatment plant is backed up with a battery system, but also supplied with a PV system to reduce the energy cost. And that was actually one of the first projects, 2017. On the last slide, I will show the latest project in Bamako, where actually that is the latest project which we're having now. We can continue with this one. This one is also a very innovative project in 2018 in the Serengeti National Park, Tanzania, where a few safari lodges have been transferred from diesel gens to solar powered lodges. And then additionally, the normal land cruisers for touring around the park have been converted to e-vehicles. Charged by the solar system supplied in the lodges, and that since then has actually increased. I think back then there were 10 systems. I think we're now at 15 or 20. I actually don't know where the numbers are, but that is a very successful project an innovative project. Thanks. Next slide, please. One product line which we're having are these containerized solutions. So this is in Sierra Leone 2020, where 20 containers were supplied for rural electrification projects, so village electrification mini grids. And the containers then are shipped more or less equipped with all the material, and the setup is pretty easy then on site. In the next slide, we have taken that further in the last years, 2021, 2022, where we have supplied 120 systems, and they're actually all installed and commissioned by now. As you can see here, again, it's a village electrification program. And I think it's one of the largest in Africa, where, yeah, in total, I think 300 villages have been supplied so far. And the next round of projects is just starting now. Next slide. This is one of our few lithium-ion projects where we're providing solar energy and backup power for real estate in Sierra Leone. Next slide. And this is the system in Bamako, which I mentioned before. So here we're not doing wastewater treatment, but actually freshwater provision for Bamako. And that is a system where water is being pumped and distributed and regulated. Also, again, solar power, reducing the energy cost, but also a backup system. I don't know if there are more coming. This one is a mini grid, which we have actually engineered together with partners in Ethiopia. And we're actually just in the process of providing the equipment on site, and installation will happen in the next month. So I hope next time I can present some more results here. Then last slide. That is just the contact details to myself. So if you are interested, please feel free to reach out to myself or any of my colleagues, and looking forward to your questions.
Thanks a lot, Stefan, for this presentation. Ascentis is a part of the history of energy access, and we are very happy to have you on this webinar. It's really important to show as well the diversity of company we have inside I4E. It's definitely one of our strengths, and important as well to remind that everybody is talking about green hydrogen, but let's say regular storage is still something with a lot of innovations ongoing, and we will definitely be used on a very large scale in the coming years. And last but not least, we have seen that within your references, but innovations sometimes is not just about technological innovation. Doing, I don't know, maybe 100 projects at the same time in Senegal, I mean, it was a challenge, I guess. So thanks again for this presentation. So next we will welcome Mr. Nitin Akade, project lead at Customers Energy Solutions. So Nitin, if you can, yes, feel free to switch on your camera and start. So we don't hear you.
Yes, so next slide.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yes, so thank you, I4E, and also Sandra and Stephen, right, for setting the context, how we are able to collectively take electrons to the last mile, helping power those, if not billions, millions, right, on the planet. So in the India also, what we are trying to do, the energy access journey has been long, last 75 years of our independence. And now we are reaching to a point where we feel like now the electricity access rate has increased. Though the reliability is an issue, we are able to get electricity for 17, 18 hours in the remotest part of the country, thanks to the efforts by the government. But reliability is a solution. Now, how rural communities can make business out of that electricity? So that is where CS is pitching into, and I'll share some examples and let's learn from next slide. Yes, so India is a vast country, almost now 1.4 billion people, and just the facts, India have nearly touching $4 trillion GDP. Agriculture contributes 20% of that, but it gives employment to 55% of the rural and semi-rural youths and women. So the whole idea here of CS or microgrid for rural and campus electrification opportunities. Idea is that can we take clean energy at the grassroots and develop rural business parks. India is a vast country of almost like 765 districts. In that 7,65,000 villages across the country. So this is an attempt by CS to use energy across agri, water, livelihoods, and also access to finance and access to market. So building an entire ecosystem on the ground so that jobs can be supported through green energy and enable just transition at the grassroots. Next. So some of the examples directly diving into. So in India, we are having a lot of pulses. It's a protein demand country, and pigeon peas, Bengal gram, green peas, red gram. So all of these pulses are taken in heavy quantity. To your knowledge, India produces for 60% of the pulses for the population, but 40% is still imported from other countries. So this is an attempt small of having a solar system that can power these 3-4 mills, which are totally 5 kilowatt system or less than that, and they can run this pulses processing unit, and 5 to 10 DDs can be employed in one such single subset, and this can generate jobs for almost like 8 to 10 months around year in the local village. So what is our plan going ahead? It's a small system of 7 kilowatt plus 15 kilowatt hour lithium and battery, and we also have a club 3-phase system. So we are having the demand side management and how we can power that and get the production cost of pulses to the best possible thing. So at present, in last 1 and 2 years, we have processed 70 metric tons, and we are able to sell 3 to 5 metric tons of pulses, which are clean, powered, enable, and which are also organic. So the whole idea is taking electricity access to the next level. That is rural economic development and adding value chain in the agri sector, because India is an agrarian economy. Next. So this is around pulses. This is around groundnut. It is a very interesting case. There are a lot of mini grids in India across the world, almost 20,000 of them. What is the utilization factor of those mini grids? 60, 70%, sometimes as low as 20, 25% also. So we are working with a couple of mini grid players in India and trying to see how we can add productive loads that are nearby agricultural crop that is grown. We can process that. So this is one of the mini grid in Jharkhand. Thanks to our partner Melinda there, and they are running this 44 mini grids, and this is a red groundnut grown there. So we are able to dehusk that groundnut. The next step is we are also trying to extract edible oil. So it will give job to 4 to 5 people in those regions, and also it will enhance the productivity since there is a local processing now. So this is also enhancing the utility of the present microgrid through value addition and other productive induced technology in agrarian economy. Next. This is another interesting example. There was a natural water source in a village in the northeast of India called Meghalaya, and that source we are tapping it, and we are involving local community to run this mineral water bottling unit. This is not RO unit. RO unit will lose the water 40 to 50%. It's just natural water. We are trying to bottle it and give job to 10 to 12 people in those remote part of the northeast, which is still under development in context of mainland India. So it is also very innovative way of how to train the local people in involving them in electrochemistry lab, testing of water and all. So CS is taking understanding technology, getting the local player to exposure visit where this technology is used, commission those solar systems to run these systems. It can be 3-phase, it can be single phase. So it's an integration of ecosystem for promoting rural businesses. Next. Yeah, this is also a very interesting case. Again in Meghalaya, which is the northeast part of our country, and government was very much in anxiety. There was forest fire was there across the state because of dried pine needles. So we thought what we should do. We collected all the pine needles, employing local people, and developed a pellet, that is biomass pellet, that can be fueled in improved cook stoves or commercial biomass dryers or biomass chillers or cold storage room also. So this is the context of this. Next, how the processes of the making pellets. Next slide, please. So this is how local rural youth and women are engaged to collect the pine needles. The pine needles is grated into fine sawdust powder, add some binders, and then you can see on the extreme side the pellets are there. Their calorific value is almost 4,300 kilocalorie per kg, which is almost equal to subbituminous coal. So they have a high demand and they can be used for firing in coal power plants also, which is they are like almost 40-50% in India. But they are getting reduced, but that is the demand also. So the SOx and NOx pollutants are reduced to bare minimum, also the fly ash and the bottom ash. Next. So this is how we are training. This is the traditional cook stoves where they are using charcoal. There is smoke, creating indoor pollution and health hazard for local women and the kids. Now you can see the flame is burning properly with the improved cook stove and the fuel technology, what we are able to develop. Next. Yeah, this is a demonstration which is very important to gain the confidence of the community. We have to talk to them, demonstrate them, not one times, multiple times, and then the things will pick up. Now they are coming forward, sir, we'll buy the cook stoves from our own money. There is no need for grant. We all know how like in a sector, like if you want to promote private sector investment and then take it to the next level, you have to see how grants are utilized very effectively for reaching to that bottom of pyramid population we are struggling. So making self-sustainable models for clean cooking solution is a need of the day, and this is one of the best model where confidence is generated in the communities and the solution is accepted by the communities, and they are coming forward to become business associate to sell these technologies. Next. Yeah, this is very important. Turmeric is also in high demand in India. The curcumin value, which is gives its strong aroma and medicinal value, is obtained in India and South Asian countries. So this is the solar kilowatt of 30 kilowatt solar system on 120 kilowatt or lithium-ion batteries, and we are able to process turmeric almost 2 metric ton per day, and employment can be generated for 5 people in a day, and it is a collective market effort. So this turmeric is been taken to West Bengal or even to Middle East, where it is in great demand in spices sector. Next. Yeah, this is also very interesting. A lot of pineapples are getting wasted. If you see this much big pineapple in India, we get at $1, for example. But at a doorstep where they are cultivating, these local women were just selling at 10 cents or less than 10 cents because there is no cold storage. And if there is a cold storage, if there are a lot of pineapples, then they are just throwing on the road, take it for free. So this is a small machine which can be used for making jam and jelly from the pineapples. Very small machine. The system has in 10 kilowatt because we have put 5 machines. Each machine is just 2 HP motor or 1.5 HP motor and an electric heater inbuilt. And then we are able to get the pulp and also make jam and jelly and add some preservatives so it can be taken to the next level. So this is one of the really good project we are seeing, and there is a lot of interest from the community for not only jam, pineapple, now also for kinus and kiwis. Next. Yeah, again, one of the tourist place in India, Cherrapunji, wettest place on the earth, has a lot of tourists and a lot of bottles lies here and there. So this is the plastic baling unit powered through solar and almost 7 kilowatt hour lead acid, 10 kilowatt hour lead acid battery, and just for backup, but it's mostly run on solar system, and it is able to press the plastic bottles, and these bottles are taken by cement industries. They crush them and they also use them at a combined with the tar, and that is done on the construction of the road. So it is one of the way where we are able to contribute for sustainable environment also. Next. I think I'm almost done. Yeah. Thank you, Yari, Alex, and we'll be happy to take the question in the Q&A session.
Thanks a lot, Nitin. Thanks a lot for this presentation, which showed the various solutions we can use to improve life in rural communities. We always focus on solar and energy, but energy is just a tool to then improve life in local communities. Just a quick reminder to the audience, please ask your questions by using the questions section of GoToWebinar. And if please use this function, it will be easier for us then to find your question. And also please name the speaker you are asking the question. so we can then redirect it more efficiently. So we will now call our next speaker, Mr. Tony Ngumbu, CEO at Mwenda Technologies. So Tony, yes, perfect. If you can switch on your camera, yes, perfectly. We see you perfectly well. And the floor is yours to start your presentation.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Alexi. And before starting, just rapidly, I also want to thank Ling, Deepak, and all the I4E organization for putting this together. Very, very informational topics, and thank you to Mariki, Sandra, Stefan, and Nitin for your great presentation. You've set the bar pretty high, so we'll try to continue on that path. Okay, so as Alexi said, my name is Tony Ngumbu. I will be here talking on behalf of Mwenda Technologies. Can we please go to the next slide? So my presentation will be more on the energy storage, particularly with the market in which we are operating, Democratic Republic of the Congo. And in terms of the outline, just very rapidly, I'll tell you who we are, what we do. I will spend a little more time in the market specificities, because that's where I do see opportunities for innovation, growth, and so on. And then we'll conclude with a few use cases just to kind of give you an idea of the operational capacity. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so who we are. Mwenda Technology essentially started in the United States in 2018. The word itself, Mwenda, actually means light in the Lingala language spoken in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So we are a bifocus company. We are known as an energy access company, which is true, focusing on renewable energy. But just as important, we are a financial inclusion company, and that's actually where I spend the bulk of my work right now, is to work on making the market more inclusive using energy. So let's move on to the next slide. So continuing with what I said before, yeah, so obviously we want our energy to be clean, affordable, and reliable. That's what this is all about. But at the same time, we see energy as a platform, as I was saying before, but not just a platform, as a platform for financial inclusion. I think it has been well established that on one side you have energy poverty, which is correlated with financial poverty. And so for us, the financial poverty side, one of the elements that obviously contributes to perpetrating that is financial exclusion, hence the focus of our company. So really energy is an interesting product in that it intersects well and it offers great opportunities to also enhance economic advantages and economic growth. So we like to say that we walk alongside customers as they climb up the energy ladder and climb the ladder towards financial inclusion. So in terms of our operation, we're sort of like a 360 operator in a sense that we get involved in all aspects, from the planning phases of the project to the installation phases. And finally, which in my sense is the more important here, is the long-term relationship in the operation and maintenance, which allow us to accomplish the mission that I stated above, working alongside the customer. Next slide, please. Okay, so continuing with what we do, our long-term goals are to be a multi-utility company that is heavily involved with financial technology, using creditworthiness, and which was our pilot phase when we entered the Congolese market, was to start with the smallest possible solutions, solar home systems, which is what we did back then. From 2019 to about 2020, reached about 2,000 customers, and then we rapidly graduated to bigger solutions, which is where we're doing most of our work right now. And here we're talking about solar hybrid systems used for several applications, from your water pumps, residential, commercial, with bigger storage capacity. So this is where we are right now, and we're anticipating that by next year, some of our work will be ready to really now allow us to become more impactful in the areas of financial inclusion, using some innovations that are in the work, to just make all these solutions more affordable. Next slide. Okay, so this is, in my sense, the most important thing, because when we talk about the Congo, the market only operating for now, to me, that country is a salivating prospect, because everywhere you look, you see growth demographic, whether it's energy demand. This is a country of about 90 million to 100 million people, and it's only expected to grow. You have a capital city of 12 or 15 million people. You look at the energy demand, energy access rate around 10% tells you that there's a massive growth opportunity here, and this is both residential and commercial. On the commercial side, the Congo is known for mining, for example, right? We all know that we have the biggest reserves of cobalt in that country, which is so instrumental to energy storage. Well, that's an industry that is highly in demand of energy solutions. On the residential side, it is a very profitable market as well if you have the proper business model. So for us, this is an exciting market, which is only expected to grow. And of course, the market has been privatized. Next slide, please. Okay, so because we're talking about energy storage, let me give you a little bit of a landscape. All right, so you have some of the characteristics in the Congo, which are very similar with other countries in that the market is highly price sensitive. Okay, so customers will naturally tend to go to the cheapest solutions. You will not be surprised to see some people even using batteries from electric vehicles, for example, to try to just address the energy need. So affordability is key here. And of course, to compound the problem, there's a cost of purchase very high. That naturally leads to the technologies that are predominantly available on the market. People will go with the cheapest solutions. So you see a bunch of lead acid batteries, VRLA batteries. So that's your AGM, UGL, OP, ZV, and so on. So those are really what you see, and you'll see the pictures on the left. That's predominantly what we install. Whether it's your cell tower applications with your lead crystals, whether it's your 2 volts in clinics, whether it's just, you can see there that lead acid is predominant. And then lithium obviously will be great with the greater energy density, as we all know, but it's very cost prohibitive in that Congolese market. So you will rarely see that. And we're talking here, of course, about a decentralized application, and for us, primarily rooftop applications, but even microgrids. So you don't see a lot of lithiums yet. And that's actually where I do see opportunities to innovate. And then one of the characteristics in the market, there's very low maintenance typically. A lot of companies don't engage in a business model of in which, in my sense, offers also great opportunities here, looking at the time. So the real innovation here, as Alexis said, I mean, in our sense, it's not necessarily the technology, but again, it's in the delivery of that solution. And for me and us, it's in terms of innovating in the affordability space, right? By developing instruments that will allow mass adoption of these solutions. Because, I mean, actually, wherever you look at any market, I think energy storage is the holy grail for mass adoption for energy. That's in Africa, everywhere. But it is ever so true in a market where, as I said, price sensitivity is high, poverty is a reality. So you absolutely need to figure out solutions to allow this market to take off. And the Congo is really on the cusp of taking off in our sense. But again, innovation in the delivery of that. Next slide, please. All right, so just a quick few use cases. So our product here, starting with the smallest product, as I said initially, those were the solar home systems. At least on the storage side on this, they have your tiny lithium phosphate batteries. These are great for some customers, because they come with all the appliances, DC-based appliances, your little TV, radio, torch, and things of that nature. And it provides a lot of value for customers. And on the software side, you're able to monitor this in distance, which allows for certain predictability in terms of the business model. Next slide, please. So yes, this is actually interesting. I wanted to bring this up because this is not standard. Because when you talk about solar home system, we typically look at residential customers, but here you have a clinic, right? Which was interesting because they saw value in a tiny solar home system, and the value here was just the lighting aspect in a small. This is on the peri-urban side of Kinshasa. So the owner that had solar home systems in his house that he purchased through a company said he wanted the same thing for a clinic because he was suffering with darkness and so on. So that was very interesting to see that even like small businesses can take advantage of that tiny device. Next slide, please. So this is your standard customer residential saying that, you know, enjoyed having lighting, kids can do your homework, and this was a happy customer, has their TV. So this would be most of the targeted segments for solar home systems. Next slide. And as I'm concluding here, so these are our bigger hybrid solutions. I mentioned before on the storage technology, it's really lead acid for now. We would like eventually to be able to move on to lithium and so on, but we need to figure out again the affordability piece. And this is work that has to happen not only with us, but I think it's across the value chain. Strong collaborations and partnerships that are needed. We're working on that, but we obviously open to more collaborations so we can all really design the proper instruments here to make those solutions available. And okay, so our solutions are sized for all different applications. We do schools, banks, you know, water pumps, clinics, hospitals, you name it. Next slide. My time is up, so I'll just I'll rush quickly. So these are just a few pictures of some of the installations. Next slide, please. And yeah, so these are some of our partners and collaborators. So we're anchored in a strong ecosystem. Now, prominently missing on this is the I4E. I'll have the team add, since we are collaborating with this fantastic membership organization. So yeah, so thank you very much. Next slide and last slide. Yes, please get in touch through one of these mechanisms, you know, email, phone number, and so on and so forth. We'll be more than happy to continue the conversation, collaborating, but also answering your questions in the Q&A. And that ends my conclusion, my presentation. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks a lot, Tony. Thanks a lot for presenting your exciting work in DRC. Incredible market, as you underlined it. So the time is running. So last but not least, Mr. Javier Tello-Procé from Norvento and Axia.
Yep, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of our company, I would like to thank the Alliance and all the team for just allowing us to give us a spot in this webinar. As Alexis mentioned, I'm Javier Taibo. I'm responsible for the international business development initiatives here at Norvento Energia. And our goal today is just to give you a glimpse of what our company is, what we do, and give you an overview of our product portfolio, which somehow covers the green hydrogen, or will be covering the green hydrogen and storage applications we are looking at. Next slide, please. So next, our company. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. As I told you earlier, Norvento Energia, this company is a Spanish-based and family-owned company which has been operating for more than 40 years now. Its core business is still like renewable energy development, or project development. So that is still at our accounts for more than 80% of our business. But for more than a decade or so, we have been focusing on distributed generation projects. So we have valued a lot of, we have gathered a lot of valuable expertise over the years that we are now offering to industries here in Spain and other countries, just to develop their own solutions. And we also have our own portfolio of products, which we design and manufacture in Spain. So to give you an idea of the size of the company, we are more than 200 engineers and technicians. And our assets, we have around 350 million euros in terms of assets. Next slide, please. So I wanted to start off by showing you our headquarters here in northern Spain. This is relevant to the presentation because here in our headquarters, we have developed a microgrid, which is a little bit the platform for us to develop new products and test concepts for customers as well. Just to give you an overview of what the microgrid looks like, please, next slide. I would like to show you this energy flow diagram, which somehow illustrates how the microgrid is set up. So basically, we have in this plot here where the building is, different sources of generation. So wind, solar, and biomass are the main contributors to the energy generation. And through our converter, which we have developed here in our company, the NGM 200, and a set of batteries we have installed, we are capable of managing all the or do the balancing of energy, the demand and the generation for our building. On top of that, we have coupled all the heat and cooling demands of the building through different sources, mainly heat pumps that drive energy from geothermal wells. Next slide, please. So this is a little bit our testing ground, and here we have our product portfolio for distributed generation. So we have been developing and selling our mid-range wind turbines, the NED 100. We have more than, well, roughly 30 units installed across Europe for different applications. We have developed our energy storage converters in the size of 50 towards 200 kVA, and more recently we have developed containerized battery energy storage system, which we feature in 20 as well as 40 feet containers for multiple applications in distributed generation projects. Next slide, please. Now I would like to show you a little bit how we leverage our microgrid and our knowledge for this different ongoing developments that we have in-house. So regarding hydrogen, so we hear a lot of big scale hydrogen projects across Europe, but oftentimes we lack visibility for distributed generation. And in-house in our company, we are driving a pilot concept by which we will be using energy surpluses from the microgrid to transform this electricity into hydrogen by means of an electrolyzer, and then test and evaluate different applications going from mobility to using a fuel cell to repower our building, and also using that hydrogen to do kind of blending with natural gas in the distribution network that we have nearby. So this is a project that we are developing and will showcase different applications for hydrogen, but at a smaller scale, with the hope of being able to sell this kind of solution afterwards to other clients, especially in those places where nowadays they're not developing big concept of hydrogen production. Next slide, please. This will be a little bit the layout of the building on top of the current plot where we have our headquarters, just so that you get an idea of how it looks like. Next slide, please. And also, as I was telling you earlier, mobility will be part of this project, and this is relevant as well because we see that many places where we population is expected to charge or ultra fast charge their vehicles, they will need like there will be a need for power requirements that can be only fulfilled with storage to give that instant power on top of any hydrogen vehicles that will come sooner or later. Of course, we know some car manufacturers already have solutions in this area, so this is something that we also will be piloting. Next slide, please. And even more relevant for this webinar, I think, is what we wanted to show you here is a few case studies or projects that we have either developed or under development, showcasing applications for battery energy storage solution. So in the first case, we had a cattle farm here in Spain, which had really difficulties getting a reliable supply of electricity and being able to deliver power to the milking facilities. So we installed solar PV and also our converter and a battery system to just tackle that problem for them. In the second project that you see on the slide, we were engaged by an energy community in southern Spain, which they wanted to install also solar PV and storage capacity to being able to deliver energy to their, well, to the members of the community. I hope you're familiar with that concept, which is widely spread in the European Union as a way of, being able to be active in the energy supply of our community. Next slide, please. But also our containerized battery solution is now being demanded for some projects in the Caribbean region. So here we have a little bit a summary of the 3 projects we are delivering. These I think it's 40 feet containers with a storage capacity. I think it's not indicated here, but well, they will be serving different locations where the goal is to, well, they have a microgrid, but they are willing to decarbonize. So not get rid of diesel generators, but just to use them for specifically only for backup. So the battery system will take the lead of the microgrid instead of the genset, and with the aim of decarbonizing the energy supply. Next slide, please. Also here in Spain, we have plenty of locations in rural settings where the energy supply is not fully reliable. It's end of distribution line, so storage in the scale that we are able to provide will be used as a way of reinforcing the grid by the distribution network operators. So we are currently working on a pilot for a Spanish distribution company on 10 sites. Next slide, please. And also last but not least, I told you earlier, we have a wind turbine, a 100 kilowatt wind turbine, which is, well, sometimes the most feasible solution or technology for some remote locations. In this case, Ilha do Corvo is a Portuguese island in the Atlantic Ocean. Well, they were asking for a solution to supply wind turbines which would be able to well, be delivered on site, which is a challenge because there is no regular logistics to the island. So with our wind turbine, with the size of our wind turbine, we were capable, we are working to install, I think, 8 units, if I'm not mistaken, to supply the island with renewable and hopefully affordable energy. And with that, I wanted just to finalize by saying that we are available for questions throughout this webinar, or even later. We are happy to just study your case if you have one, and hopefully you find this interesting. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Javier. Very interesting to see that we always are talking about electrifying communities in Africa or South Asia, but interesting to see that in Europe, in Spain, can use same technology, and there is some places where grid is weak. It's important to be able as well to provide high quality energy. So we will now move to it was the last presentation, the last pitch. We will now move to the Q&A question. So I will ask all the speakers to turn on their camera, please. And we'll start with the first question. The first question is for you, Sandra. Yes, okay, perfect. So the question is, what about the financial viability of H2 of grid compared to battery storage? Can we expect it in the future if it is not financially viable for now? So Sandra, if you can maybe answer this question.
Thank you very much for the question. H2, green H2 energy storage solution is very much proposed or targeted for off-grid location, where the cost of fuel are very much tremendously high because of the logistic costs, and also because of the challenges of transportation. That's all add up to the logistic costs. And when you compare this over a lifespan of 15 to 25 years against all the traditional off-grid technology like diesel gensets, solar battery, especially the lead acid battery, I would say that the hydrogen generation system and solar battery are very competitive in terms of the levelized cost of energy over the period of 15 to 20 years when you take into the consideration of replacement, overhaul, operation, and maintenance. So it can be very competitive, but we will propose this for off-grid location at this point of time to be competitive. I hope you answered the question, Alexis.
Yes, it answers the question, definitely. Thanks a lot. Next question is for you, Stefan from Asantis, and it's still about storage. So what is the status of innovation in the solar energy sector now with lithium ion and lead acid battery? What are the advantages?
Sorry if I'm getting the answer to the question right. The advantages of lead acid and lithium ion compared to hydrogen, or?
No, it was more about what are the next innovation in the storage sector.
Sure. Well, I mean, I suppose there will be price improvements on different sectors, although that is a question of how things are developing on other markets like e-mobility and using lithium ion there. From our perspective, we're looking into new battery technologies and developing a battery which is kind of having similar features like the lithium ion battery, but having just 1/10 of the price. We're hoping that will be something available in 2025. But yeah, there are a lot of other activities which we're kind of following. And me personally, I'm not really convinced that lithium ion for the off-grid sector will be a technology which will last very long. I think there are other technologies which will pop up and which will take over pretty soon.
Thanks a lot. We're receiving a lot of questions, so sorry if there's a little bit lag on my side. Next question for you, Tony. So the question is, you spoke about high awareness of mobile payments in the country, in DRC. Can you please shed more light on how it will impact the storage systems application locally? You're on mute, if you can unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, from our point of view, it will impact energy storage in terms of distribution and delivering financial instrument. Because you have to understand, we were talking about financial inclusion earlier, right? Or financial exclusion. Well, mobile money offers an incredible opportunity to include a larger segment of the market. You know, we have somewhere around 83% penetration today. Well, and if you look also at how solar home systems were able to really increase the adoption of those tiny storage solutions in the market, well, they relied on mobile money. So in our sense, we can utilize that same principle into the bigger solution. Now the issue obviously here is that when you talk about bigger solutions that are more costly and you're trying to offer repayment over time, the challenge today is not so much the technology, but rather the appetite of companies to take on that risk, but also maybe identifying the risk properly. We see that as a big challenge, and that's where our innovation lies, because we're making the argument that there are ways to properly assess the market's credit worthiness to allow us to massively distribute those bigger energy solutions, relying on mobile money as a way to conduct a repayment. So that's how I see the relationship between mobile money and mass adoption of energy storage solutions.
Very interesting. Thanks. Come to get back to the costs of H2. We have a question for you, Javier. You've presented a project of PV plus H2 plus electric mobility, so electric vehicles. So for this project, what is the cost of electricity? Would it be lower than grid parity with H2 storage uses?
Sorry about that. In terms of this project and this concept we have at our headquarters, so in the first phase we are not looking at financials regarding the, we are not looking for profitability in terms of this project in particular, because we know in terms of costs for electrolyzers, and then if you look at the energy conversion rates and the energy that is lost throughout the process, it's very difficult to argue that this will be profitable in the short term. But somehow it sets the stage for tackling technological issues that we will have to deal with sooner or later at this scale. And this is really what we are looking at with this concept. So short term, we don't see like a massive rollout of hydrogen on small applications, because it really doesn't make sense from a economic perspective, I would say. And having said that, there might be people that would argue differently, but we don't see it nowadays.
It is great, because it makes a perfect link with the next question, which is for you, Maike. And the question is, as a public entity, what is the motivation of GIZ and similar organizations to focus on novel technologies like hydrogen in Africa? Especially, is it because on your side, I mean, you see a huge growth for this market in Africa or elsewhere? Or if you can elaborate a little bit.
Thank you very much. I think we see at least equal opportunities, and I think we should neglect developing markets as possible locations for a ramp up of such technologies. And yeah, we just think the race to green hydrogen should just be played out in the traditional countries, but also look for markets that are developing. And I think with the markets we're focusing on, Brazil, Namibia, Morocco, for example, we have already quite a good infrastructure, and we are also helping them building the capacities to be a player for the hydrogen markets.
Thanks a lot. It's quite exciting market anyway. But was to not forget that, let's say, usual storage will still have the largest share of the market of storage. Question for you, back to you, Stefan. Sorry, I'm trying to ask as much question as we can because we have only 5 minutes left. You presented a lot very strange of references, sorry, and some of them dated from, I don't remember, 2010 or something like that. And what do you say about the durability of these projects? Are they still working quite well, even if it's in some very remote areas?
Yeah, I mean, we're a system integrator. We supply systems and we're not operating them. So in most cases, we actually don't know how far they've come. If we're not getting problems feedback or like new products or new systems are being ordered. But we have a few systems which have been running now for 10 years. And I think that is, if it's well maintained, if the design was appropriate for the application or for the needs, then that is definitely possible also with lead acid. And we're now getting more and more projects where lead acid batteries are kind of needing replacements. And one point which we're looking into, for example, is now to like have a recycling service for those batteries. As often in African countries, the local recycling is actually not up to standard. Yeah, for the most operators, it is a kind of a challenge to actually then do a proper recycling and go through a process where that is kind of like managed, and that's a part which we're looking into. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Recycling of batteries will be a great challenge. I'm just allow myself to ask the same question to you, Tony. Are you facing the same challenges about your products? Do you already have to recycle some of the solar kits you have distributed? Do you see a good lifetime for your project?
Alex, my apologies, you were lagging on the first part. So I heard if I see a good lifetime on my project. Do you mind repeating the first part, please?
Yes, the first part was about Stefan mentioned the recycling of storage of batteries, which is a huge challenge in many countries, even Europe, Asia, everywhere, because we don't have option for that. So with your projects, with your solution, with all the solar kits you have distributed, do you have the same issue, or maybe none of them are already none of them need to be replaced now?
Yes, no, it's a massive issue. I would say actually we've been called on many projects for maintenance or replacement. And what you see is, I think I mentioned one of the slide, massive lack of aftermarket support or after sales support. So that leads to batteries for the most part being depleted much quicker. Because I mean, it starts from the beginning. You know, you have sizing issues. Customers want to cut their budget, and so batteries get discharged more than they should. You have poor, temperature management and so on. So there's a massive failure rate on that market. Now we try to address it, but because of the market sensitivity realities, that is a big problem, the failure rate. So that leads now to the recycling part. That is another opportunity that's there for people that are offering that solution, because it is a big problem. Let me just put it as such, as a high failure rate. We try to address it, but you have to keep mindful of the market realities, price sensitivity on the market.
Yeah, definitely. We could speak about it during hours. Just a very last question, because we have only 1 minute left. To you, Javier, are you planning to explore new markets, maybe in Africa, Asia, everywhere with your project?
Yeah, we have relaunched a little bit the initiatives to tackle the international markets. We are looking especially, the Latin American region. This is because we have cultural affinity, and we are capable of, managing the relationships and understanding the market a little bit better than other countries or regions such as Africa. But of course, we are looking into these regions as well, and we follow very closely all the storage and hydrogen initiatives in the African country. And hopefully at some point we will be able to engage with a partner or something to be able to execute one of these projects. But yeah, we are still a little bit learning.
Thanks a lot. So we come to the end of this webinar. So it's my duty to thanks everybody, all the speakers. Thanks a lot for your presence here, for presenting your company and all the work you are doing for energy access all over the world. Thanks obviously to all our teams who have organized all this webinar. Thanks to all the person and companies who have assisted to this webinar. I will just finish this webinar by inviting you to participate to the next I4E webinar. The topic will be about digitalization and optimization. It will be on the 26th of October. So once again, on beside of all RE, thanks a lot. All of you who are not members, please feel free to contact myself or anybody from the Secretariat of RE. We'll be happy to answer any of your questions. And yes, once again, thank you and see you at the next webinar. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lahi, then bye.